I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Peabody City Council. The City Council will convene on Thursday, August 26, 2021, to hold a regular meeting at 7:30 for the purpose of discussing any and all business, including both in-person participation and remote participation in accordance with Chapter 40A of the Massachusetts General Laws and pursuant to the Act extending certain COVID-19 measures with provisions relating to open meeting law. This meeting of the City Council will be conducted via in-person participation as well as by remote participation. Real-time public comment during public hearings can be addressed to the Peabody City Council using the Zoom meeting platform for remote access. Users may view the meeting and make a comment or question to the chair via the audio option. This meeting is being televised by Peabody Access Television on Comcast Channel 9 and on RCN Channel 15, as well as being recorded by our City Council stenographer. Let's all rise for a moment of silence. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You've heard the motion by Councilor Gould. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. At this time, I would like to just see if we could take an item out of order. That would be item 7B regarding various appointments and reappointments. I'd like to ask Mayor Betancourt to, well, first of all, I'd like to see if we can have a motion to accept.
Motion to suspend the rules and receive
items.
7B for various appointments. So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. You've heard the motion. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Mayor Betancourt, please proceed. Thanks.
Great, thank you, President O'Neill. Good evening, councilors. Great to be with you. Hope everybody's doing well. I did want to come today to appear for a couple of appointments. One new appointment, and then there are a few reappointments. First new appointment is to the Board of Health, a 3-year term. As you do have her resume, Dr. Julia Fleet, Peabody resident. It's a very impressive educational and professional background. I think she'd be a tremendous fit with our Board of Health. She's been working with the Board of Health the last couple of months as a consultant, assisting in anticipation of the vote here today. Certainly, I don't think I have to tell you the importance and the value of the Board of Health has provided the city over in particular, the last 18 months. Extremely difficult decisions, extremely challenging, and we're very fortunate to have an outstanding Board of Health right now. And right now we have Sharon Cameron, of course, our Health Director. Tom Durkin is our Chair, and Fire Chief Tony Carley, and Dr. Lee Mansberger. Dr. Lee Mansberger has been with us now a few years. She's stepping aside and asking Dr. Fleet to be approved tonight. But again, with her credentials, her knowledge of Peabody, I think she'll be an excellent addition, and I'm asking for approval today. Dr. Fleet is here, happy to say a few words, but looking to have her appointment approved so she can move forward with the Board of Health.
Do any councilors have any questions or would like to, either to the mayor or Dr. Fleet?
Mr. Chair.
Thank you for coming, Dr. Fleet. Can I get a motion to...
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President,
Councilor Gould?
I'd like to move on the mayor's recommendation for Dr. Fleet. I'd like to move on the recommendation of Dr. Fleet by the mayor to fill the position of Board of Health. Thank you. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. You've heard the motion. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Charis.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Congratulations, Dr. Fleet, and welcome. Mayor Betancourt?
No, thank you very much. I look forward to working with all of you and to this position, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few reappointments. Most appointments, as you know, are run with the calendar year. So typically at the end of the year, I'm bringing forward a number of appointments. However, there are a few that are sprinkled throughout the course of the year, have different expiration dates. A few that I wanted to bring forward to make sure we're updated is on our Board of Registrars, certainly with the upcoming election this year. Judy Blodgett has been our chair now for, I think, long before I was mayor, and they've done a terrific job, our Board of Registrars, looking for her for a new 3-year term. Leslie George, I think all of you know Leslie. She is on the Board of Assessors, our assistant assessor, and she's been with us now for, I think, about 5 or 6 years and does a terrific job for us. Looking to appoint her to another 3-year term. Sharon Cameron, I tried to negotiate with her to get a lifetime appointment. She roundly rejected that, wouldn't even let me finish the statement. However, I definitely convinced her for 1 more year. I think there'll be many more to come, but 1-year term. Sharon Cameron for our Health and Human Services Director. Obviously, I don't need to speak to the value she brings to our community. We're very fortunate to have her. And then also Jim Liakos for the Licensing Board position. That's a 5-year term. Jim has been with us now for about a year. That board, over the last couple of years, has had a lot of issues thrown at them and challenges as well. And that board has done an excellent job for us, keeping an eye on things. And Jim Liakos, our former counselor, former school committee member, has done a great job with that group. So I want to bring forward those positions for reappointment, and certainly here to answer any questions on those reappointments.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mayor Ben. Councilor Manning Martin?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to follow the mayor's recommendation to reappoint, for the new we just did that one, for all the reappointments just mentioned by the mayor for Judy Blodgett, Leslie George, Sharon Cameron, and James Liakis. So moved.
On the motion, any discussion? Hearing none. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to reiterate what the mayor had mentioned and just say how appreciative I am, especially for Health Director Sharon Cameron this year in helping us get through such a difficult year. I want to also welcome Dr. Fleet. I saw you're an alum of University of New England from the great city of Biddeford, Maine. Wonderful things happening up there. But just wanted to say thank you to all of the reappointments. I know it's been a challenging year, and they've all done exceptionally well, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Any further comments? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Charis.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you, Mayor
Thank you,
Bencourt.
Council.
Thank you, Mayor Bencourt. Congratulations to everyone, and appreciate you serving our city. We'll now move to hearings. The clerk will please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as the special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, August 26, 2021, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from Stephen Lamazny, 48 Russell Street, Peabody, Mass., for a special permit for indoor recreation, specifically to operate a baseball and softball training facility with a retail store accessory to said facility at 635 Lowell Street, Suite A, 60-70, former TJ Maxx Space, Peabody, Mass., as filed in accordance with Sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under City Calendar on the homepage, or contact the City Clerk's office. Zoom information will not be available until the Friday before the meeting. Peabody City Council, Councilor Mark J. O'Neill, City Council President.
Thank you. We have the applicant here. Good evening. Could you please state your full name and address for the record and give us an overview of your business venture at the Big Y Plaza?
Thank you. My name's Stephen Lamazny, 48 Russell Street, Peabody, Mass. First, I want to thank you guys for having me here. I want to just briefly, before we get into this business right here and what I plan on doing, I just want to touch on, I was before this council 4.5 years ago on a similar special permit up on Route 1. We got the permit approved, and building, a structure was put up, and it's now called the Peabody Sportsplex. For various reasons, I decided not to take my company, my business, the Show Baseball and Softball Academy, and put it in that facility. I think if you're in business long enough, you know that certain things pop up and certain ventures happen, and for various reasons, things don't work out and people part ways, and in this situation, that's what happened. But I do truly believe that use and that space is great for this city, and I know that there's a lot of city youth programs that are using it. I also know that there's some senior city programs that are using it as well, pickleball in there, and they're getting a lot of use out of it, and I still believe in the use of that building. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for me in my business and my program to go into that building. So I just wanted to address that right away before we moved into what I'm trying to do here at the new space. So I appreciate everything you've done for us, Show Baseball, in that respect, but this is all new now, and this is my business and myself going in there. The space at the old TJ Maxx, we're looking to put into our batting cages. For years, I had a space up in the Merrimack Valley. We did not renew the lease. For years, I've been trying to get back to the city of Peabody. This is where I'm from. We've been very fortunate to have a great run in that area, but I think it's time for me to get back on the North Shore with a facility. You know, being a Peabody resident, I think it's time that I can get the program that I've grown in a different area back in this area and be able to help out with the youth in this area as well. So we are a baseball, softball, and training facility. I also have travel teams that play under our umbrella. But we are a development program. We train kids from 9 years old all the way up to 18 years old. We have a college recruitment part of what we do, so there's a transition from youth baseball, from the small diamond to the big diamond, all the way up into high school and then beyond. I did bring some paperwork that
Motion to receive.
Motion receive, okay, thank you.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Mr. Lanazzi, please continue.
Okay, so I put some paperwork in there. You guys can, just an overview on the top of what we've done over the past a little over 10 years as a program. Placed over 100 players in college. We've had 11 draft picks. We've had a very good run as a business, and it's really about the development of players. So we're looking to take this and transition into that space up at the Big Y Plaza. Underneath that is an overview of what the space is going to look like. It's the build out of the facility. Right now it's an empty shell that I think has been empty for a little over 2 years. The company we're working with has been outstanding with us to get everything the way we need to set it up and cross all our T's and dot the I's to make sure that all the neighboring patrons are happy with what we're trying to put together in there. I know there was a question about soundproofing, so I added in there the company that we're using for all the soundproofing along with the product. So, you know, we're really excited. I'm really excited about this opportunity to get back in here, and hopefully you guys can appreciate what we're trying to do. And we've had a ton of success with our players, a lot of Peabody kids in our program, and you know they've made the drive up 93 for years, and now it's going to be a little bit closer for them, but also expand along the North Shore for a lot of other players. So at that, I appreciate your time very much, and hopefully we can get this done.
Thank you. Are there any members of the general public who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Are there any members of the general public who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Okay, I don't see anyone on Zoom application either. Are there any members of the general public who'd like to speak in opposition of this application? Once again, are there any members of the general public who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? Please step to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name's Marsha O'Leary. I live at 278 Newberry Street, number 36, Peabody, Mass. Council President and council members, why we are opposing Oh, first, may I have permission to pass out a copy of the original special permit that Mr. Lemazny applied for back in 2017 and was approved by the council?
Motion to receive.
Is that okay? All right.
One moment, please, ma'am. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Please continue, Mrs. O'Leary.
Okay? Okay. All right. The reason that we're here is because Mr. Lemazny still is on the special permit that was issued 4.5 years ago. And I have to be honest and say his project did not go well. It is still not completed. But part of the special permit that I wanted to bring your attention, because this special permit's broken down to 2 sections. One is BDD Investments with Thomas McMillan. He's the manager. That's the physical building. Mr. Lemazny has the Show Baseball and Sports Academy, and that's under his name. Now, if Mr. Lemazny is pulling out of this project and opening a new business in West Peabody, then there needs to be a transfer of the special permit, his piece of the special permit, if they're going to have another business in there. And there appears to be another business in there. What we are asking for from the City Council is that if they are doing that, that we could have the meeting so that the public hearing that has to be made for us to be able to know who's going to be there. It's not a question of who owns the building, but it's basically a real question for the neighbors that live next door, exactly what kind of a business is coming in here, because frankly, there are businesses that we absolutely would not fit into the neighborhood. I live in West Spring Meadows. There are 70 units of housing in West Spring Meadows. We're a bordering on one side. On the north side is Park Place. There are 50 units of housing in Park Place. So if you figure 1.5 people per household, that's an awful lot of residents. I have to be honest and say this project was not the very best project, and it's been lingering for a very long time. But that's what we're requesting of the council tonight, is that you set up a hearing so that they can do the transfer of the business piece of the special permit. Other than that, anybody have a question?
Thank you, Mrs. O'Leary. So just to bifurcate, so do you have any, are you opposed to the actual special permit that's being requested tonight at the Big Y Plaza?
We really aren't, but this was kind of an opportunity for us to get here to address the council, because we understand that there is another business in there that the transfer has never happened, and take Mr. Lemazny's name off the special permit and put the new company's name on the special permit so that we know who's there. That's
understood, and that's fair. I just wanted to make sure that as we're talking about this particular property application, but we
really
should.
not
I think we'll
opposing.
work with Councilor Sasslaw to take a look at this particular issue, and certainly I want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak. So I appreciate
Okay.
you coming, and we'll make sure that Councilor Sasslaw looks into that and what might need to be done in terms of that other particular property.
Okay. So I'm all set.
Thank you for coming. Are there any other members of the general public who'd like to speak in opposition at this time? Please step forward. Hearing none, thank you. Councilor Rossignol?
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I do just want to address Mrs. O'Leary's concerns, because I do think the points you made are valid, and I do think that it is important that we address those concerns where, if you look at condition number 3 in the special permit transfer will require a public hearing, I think that is exactly what we're talking about. So I think, Mr. President, you are correct, and I think that Councilor Sasslaw will be in touch and will be able to set up a public hearing regarding that. As far as the applicant goes, I did have the question regarding soundproofing, but in the late communication that you just distributed, towards the end, it does show the type of gypsum board and the type of sound breaking material that will be used to minimize the sound in that area. So with that, I have no questions, so I'll open it up to the council.
Councilor Manny Martin?
Yeah, could I ask for a 2-minute recess?
Sure thing. 2-minute recess? 2-minute recess, please. We'll now continue. Any comments or questions from fellow councilors? Councilor Turco?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to address Marcia and the rest of the residents from Whispering Meadows, and I get the drift that we're working on this permit, but I did speak to Marcia the other day, and Marcia had shared her thoughts with me that she shared with us tonight. So I did reach out to Mr. McMillan. I'm told that the fence has already begun. The construction of the fence began actually the day after we spoke, Marcia. So they are moving forward on some of the things that should have been done. But I wanted to thank you all for coming out.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Any other members of the council who would like to speak? Councilor Sasslaw?
Sure. So I received a notice, it was actually a week ago, Wednesday, from the resident in the Whispering Pines regarding the fence. At that point, I did reach out to Mr. McMillan, who confirmed the fence was going up and within 2 weeks. I then contacted the fence company, who confirmed that it had been selected and it indeed was going up. And I also spoke to Mr. Terenzoni from the building department, so I was comfortable with that. The next thing was that they did start to put the poles up, as Councilor Turco said, and the same resident reached back out to me and concerned that the poles were metal, and he wanted to make sure it wasn't a chain link fence. And it indeed is not a chain link fence, it will be a stockade fence as they are required to put up. And as Councilor Turco said, they have started that, and I do expect that weather permitting should be completed by the end of next week. I also had the opportunity to speak to Mrs. O'Leary, and before the hearing tonight, I did call her and I did communicate with her that I was in agreement that a special permit transfer would be required. I did speak to Tom McMillan earlier this evening, advised him that he needed to do that. I will make a formal motion during motions, orders, or resolutions to ask the city clerk to send out a communication to Mr. McMillan and BTD Investments to update their permit, and so I think we're all set, and I also appreciate the residents for coming out. As I said, this was I think it was last Wednesday was the first time I had any communication regarding about any issue at the property, but I'm looking forward to getting those issues satisfied, and once again, they will come before us, and I'm sure we'll hear from the residents again. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sasslaw.
More importantly, if I could.
Councilor Sasslaw, continue, please.
Yeah, thank you. More importantly, Steve, how you doing?
Doing well, thank
Good.
you, Joe.
So, Steve, I've known you a long time. I've supported you the first time you were here, and I just have to say, having two sons who just went through youth sports, what I appreciate about what you do is, on the very first page, you talk about sending kids to college. And I just want to acknowledge that. We all want our kids to be professional players, but we also know that's a difficult road to hoe. But obviously, education, the advancement of education, scholarships through youth sports is obviously very helpful to the parents, to the student. So I know what you do. I followed your career closely. and I appreciate what you do, and I just want to acknowledge it. And, you know, you got to give Peabody Westwood League a little bit of credit. They went in there first. They kind of pushed the barn door down. But I think
Those boys need to take all the credit.
Yeah,
They played great.
they did. And then as far as what I'm referring to is the fact that they started to use it as a training facility.
Yes.
And your vision, you saw what went on there. And I know the people of West Peabody will be happy to see that space being utilized. And so I do expect to fully support this, and I want to thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you, Councilor Sasslaw. Councilor Gould and Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Sasslaw. Councilor Sasslaw, can you please repeat how we're going to handle the transfer of the permit from the original show facility? Can you please repeat that, please? Thank you.
So if you look at the special permit that was just given out, everyone has a copy, condition number 3 says a special permit transfer will require a public hearing. In many other special transfer permits, we just do we do a transfer, all papers being in order, but because this number 3 was in this permit and there's going to be a new operator, we're going to ask them to come back in as the neighbor said, to find out who is going to be operating. I am under the belief, and I have spoken, that it is not going to change. It will still be for an indoor baseball/softball teaching facility. So no change of use, but we need to update the paperwork. A little bit of housekeeping, quite frankly, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. President, if I may, I'm going to turn my back. I don't want to let them think that we're not involved. Do you understand? Did you understand what Councilor Sasslaw said? Okay, so I didn't think so. So Councilor Sasslaw is going to set up a special permit transfer hearing with the corporation. Councilor Sasslaw is going to set up a special permit hearing, transfer meeting, a permit hearing with the construction company and the others that are still involved in that facility. And you will be, as an abutter, you'll be invited to that special permit hearing.
Do we have any idea when that will be?
We do not. That's going to follow its process. Councilor Sasslaw will get on that as soon as he has to, but
Will it do like 3-week advertising and everything?
whatever the process is on a transfer.
Okay.
I'm asking the clerk right now. Correct, Allison? Okay. So you follow, you understand?
I understand.
Okay, great. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Lemazny. Mr. President, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Sasslaw.
No, thank you, Councilor Gould. It's important to clarify. We've got people here who want to make sure that it's being addressed. I appreciate that. Councilor Welton?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just as a point of clarification, particularly because we're talking about a transfer special permit, I just did want to point out, because initially when I saw this in the packet, I was under the wrong impression. This facility is adjacent to the facility we provided a special permit for to operate a baseball facility within the Big Y Plaza. It's not the same parcel, so I just wanted to make sure that that was said publicly in case there's any confusion for anyone who's listening at home.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Any other councilors? I'd just like to briefly state that I'm in full support of this for many different reasons. It's, as the applicant, Mr. Lemazny, spoke, it's been an empty space for quite a few years. The WS Development, who owns the property, the Big Y Plaza, has been able to come before us and put some small businesses and local businesses into that edible arrangement. The dental shop, PVD West Little League training facility, and a Mom's Village. All of those are new places that have taken over, in North Shore Bank, excuse me, that have taken over the former TG Maxx facility. So I'm in full support for this. And WS Development, once again, as Mr. Lemazny said, has overseen this. They do a good job in terms of making sure their fellow tenants can live in harmony as best as possible. So I just wanted to make sure that people knew that I'm in full support. Councilor Rosenau?
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to close the public hearing.
On the motion, Councilor Manny Martin.
Yeah, for the record, who's chairing this meeting? Are you chairing it, or is Councilor Rossignol? There hasn't been any declaration, or just for the minutes and for the record. Who's chairing this meeting?
It's the proper phrase, I'm chairing it as President of the City Council. And Councilor Rossignol is handling, if you will, this particular, there's no need to differentiate that. I have not left the president's seat.
Well, I'm asking for clarification. it's confusing. I'm confused. I've been here 14 years, and I've never seen this done before, so I'm asking what's happening. So I'm simply asking for clarification. Who's chairing the meeting?
Understood. I'll clarify. Just for those at home, in some cases in the past, if a ward councilor wants to, if there's the council president, they may step down and decide to actually navigate the special permit with the applicant. I have chosen not to do that. I'm remaining in my chair as the city council president. Councilor Rosendahl is handling this particular process, so I didn't feel there was any need to clarify, but that's what, for those that are watching, I am still the council president, and that's not changing at this time. Thank you.
Of course you're the council president. We all voted for you for the council president. You are the council president. I've just never seen this process done this way before. It's never been done this way before. I was confused. I asked for clarification. It wasn't clear to me that Councilor Rosendahl was chairing this meeting, or however you want to phrase it. It's bouncing back and forth. I was confused. So simply, perhaps in the future, if you decide to venture away from past practice and protocol, you might want to explain it first. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Manning Martin. Point of order. As council president, I'm still chairing the meeting. Councilor Rosendahl happened to just be handling it, which is why I called on him. And just let me finish, please. The council rules do not dictate that the council president has to step down to handle special permit. That is not in the council rules, so there is no confusion unless anyone else is aware of something. So right now, I'm still council president, chairing the meeting. Councilor Rosendahl happens to be handling, if you will, this special, which is why I've called on him and asked him previous to the meeting, could you please make the motions? Thank you.
Sure. If you're chairing it, I would think you would make the motions. I just don't understand this chairing it versus handling it, and nobody mentioned any council rules that you violated. Simply past practice, 14 years of council protocol, and probably Councilor Mitsoulas can probably say he's probably never seen this done before either. In how many years, Jim?
30 years.
In 30 years. But I don't want to put you on the spot, Jim. I'm just using it as a reference.
You are putting me on the spot, but I don't care. I've been here long enough to be put on the spot.
30 years.
Doesn't matter. Okay. I agree with you, Annie, but I don't think anything here was underhanded. And you didn't say.
Point of order, Mr. Point of order.
that.
I never said anything was underhanded. I asked for clarification.
Annie,
It's very confusing what's going on.
Let me finish.
Thank you.
Let me finish. I didn't say that you said anything was underhanded. I didn't want anybody to think there was anything underhanded. I certainly didn't, but you're 100% right. I've never seen it handled the way the way it was handled this evening. You should have explained yourself, Council President. And I'm not upset at you that you didn't, because to me, it's no big deal. You know?
Thank you, Councilman. We have a motion on the floor at this time. One last point of order is that probably 7 months ago or 8 months ago, when WS Development, the applicant, PBD West Little League, came before us for a similar, not as the show, but it was a training facility, I did not leave the seat. So we have a motion on the floor. Any comment on the motion?
That was a Zoom meeting. All rules were different in a Zoom meeting, but I think we both made our points, Mr. City Council President.
Thank you. On the motion, any discussion? Hearing none. It's the motion. Public meeting is closed. It's a vote. Councilor Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to address the last conversation, councilors at large have handled hearings before. That's all this is just me handling the hearing, nothing more, nothing less. With that said, I make a motion to approve the special permit for indoor recreation, specifically to operate a baseball/softball training facility with a retail store accessory to said facility at 635 Lowell Street, Suite A 60 to 70, former TJ Maxx space, PBD Mass, as filed in accordance with Section 4.2.5, 6.1 and 15.7 of the PBD zoning ordinance. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould,
Yes.
Manning Martin,
Yes, and good luck.
Sasslaw,
Yes.
Welton,
Yes.
Charis.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll now move to motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Gould?
Thank you, Mr. President. I do not have any motions, orders, or resolutions, but I'd like to make a comment about our handling of each other and the contentiousness that continues to surface amongst our council meetings. We're here to do the people's work. We're not here to fight with each other. We're not here to pick on each other. We're here to do the people's work. And if it means that we have a discussion, let's have a discussion in a courteous manner. This is ridiculous, the way we conduct ourselves, and we're conducting ourselves in public. This isn't what we're intended to do, serving the people of Peabody. I can't believe we're handling it this way. Over and over and over, we have contentious meetings, and it's, to be truthful, it's turning people off. It's not what we're supposed to be doing as a council. I welcome any comments, but that's my resolution, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor Manning Martin?
Thank you, Mr. City Council President. I'd like to make a motion to refer to Public Works to review signage and the painting of intersections in the downtown area. The signs are whited out, and it's becoming a safety issue, so I'd like to make a motion again to refer to Public Works to review signage and the painting of intersections in downtown Peabody. So moved.
You've heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Manning Martin?
Thank you, Mr. City Council President. I'd like to make a motion to request information of the Parks and Recreation Department regarding the open trash at parks. There's an issue recently and repeatedly at Radden Road Park where the trash containers are left full and overflowing and not covered for days on end and perhaps even weeks on end and throughout weekends. I'd like to ask them what their trash schedule pickup is for all our parks. I realize that some parks may have less use, so they wouldn't need to be picked up as often, and some have more use and should be picked up more often. So I'd like to ask them to report back what their trash schedule pickup is for each of our parks and public places that they are in charge of the trash receptacles. So moved.
On the motion, Councilor Gould?
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Manning Martin, you're spot on. We both received some notification from some constituents in that regards. There are rats, coyotes, all kinds of garbage, everything strewn across Radden Park, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Councilor Manning Martin. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Any other comments? On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Manning Martin?
No further motions, Mr. City Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Manning Martin. Councilor Sasslaw?
Thank you, Council President. I have a couple of motions to make tonight, and before I make the motions, you know, I'm getting a little bit frustrated with motions made to DPS and them not getting done. I know we have a process in place where we're supposed to make a motion and we find out what happens. I think the Parks and Recs, in our packet, sent back, they acknowledged the motion and the date it was done. I know there was a couple in there, but I just don't understand. I know they're short-staffed. Anyone looking for a job, call DPS. But you know, these motions were made before the summer, and I'm not. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, but I don't think I think the feeling from other councils I spoke to during the summer recess is the same. And I'm just getting tired of sending emails, and now I CC the residents because I don't get any answers. So I don't want the residents to think I'm not doing my job. But I'm very concerned. It's getting, in my opinion, out of hand to a degree. and I just needed Phil to talk about that. So, based upon that, I'd like to request a motion from update from Department of Public Services on the requested new sign at Centerfield neighborhood that has been in there for months. So move.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Council Sasslaw.
I'd like to make a motion that on the motion P369-21 made on June 24th, move to request that the Public Service Department install a do not block intersection sign at the corner of Lowell Street and Proctor Circle heading west be done. So move.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Council Sasslaw.
And there are other motions that I have made that I will go back and check some stop signs, things of that nature. I'm not going to bore, but I think I've made my point, and I'm looking forward to seeing DPS get these done before the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Sasslaw. Council Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, I would like to move to approve and adopt as advertised item 7A, excuse me, not 7A. 10B, item 10B, so moved.
You've heard the motion from Council Welton on item 10C to adopt, excuse me, 10A, sorry. 10B, sorry. Here I am trying to clarify for those that can't hear and I screwed it up. 10B to adopt as advertised. On the motion, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Council Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just as a clarification, that item is in regards to 15-minute parking area at the bottom of Lynn Street. Just as a point of information, I've had continued dialogue with Captain Richards and Sergeant Harkins and some of the neighbors in that area, some of the businesses as well, and we are hoping to meet next week to go over some more robust potential ordinance revisions over there, and we'll be doing so with some of the neighbors. Just wanted to keep everybody apprised of that. Secondarily, I'd like to request that a sidewalk be repaired at 2 Pulver Drive. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. In following Councilor Manning Martin's request for Radden Road, I'd like to also ask that an extra barrel be placed at Radden Road Park, also at Browns Pond Park, and at the park at MacArthur as well. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
No further motions this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Councilor Charest.
Thank you, Council President. Would like to ask Captain Richards, remind him that we made a motion. I know he's working in the summer, is busy for people and vacations. If he needs any more information from us on the motion on the ordinance of modified mufflers on vehicles, I know he was going to get us an ordinance that we could vote on. So if there's anything else that he needs from us, again, I know the summer break, it's tough for everyone. Just a reminder on that. Second is if we can have a report from HR through the mayor's office, I'm sure through the mayor's office, on any hirings. I know they had posted numerous positions opening up in DPW, the water department, the tree departments, et cetera. If we can have some kind of an idea what we could be looking for as hirings, because as we all get requests for work to be done, it's difficult to know exactly when because of man hours. This is not a motion, just a request. Second, this is a motion. If we can, through the municipal safety, ask Representative Tom Walsh to come. Him and I had been in the conference, and I'd like to make this as a motion, co-motion with Councilor Mitsoulas too, if I may. So if I can go back, a co-motion with Councilor Mitsoulas to ask Tom Walsh, representative, to come to a meeting of municipal safety to discuss 114, the safety of the lights, numerous lights that's been an issue. I do know he's been working on this quite a bit. In the early spring, we had a conversation throughout the summer on those lights from Lois Road and then even Violet Road, that whole mechanism there. I know he had a conversation with the state. I know they gave him permission, but with certain details. So if we can have a meeting together to talk about that, so move.
On the motion, Councilor Stress, are you requesting Councilor Sasslaw to have a municipal safety committee hearing? Did I hear correctly?
And if you would invite Representative Tom Walsh to come and give the information that he's been getting, again, throughout the spring and summer on what the state has told them about what we can do working together on that Route 114.
And I'm sorry, I was distracted, I missed part of it. Is a safety issue or is the timing of the lights? I heard you mention the lights on a couple of roads. I'm just
Sure. Obviously, it is a safety issue with the lights, but it's also people going through the lights on 114 and the amount of speed. There's a lot of factors that's involved with that, so.
On the motion, Councilor Sasslaw.
So, Councilor Charest, so this hits very home for me. As you know, there was a young twin that was killed. This issue has gotten a little bit out of control on 114, so you're preaching the choir. Quite frankly, I think it needs, I think Senator Lovely should be invited. I think Representative Kearns, I think Representative Walsh. I can't help but go on social media after that tragic death this summer. I know the parent is trying to work with the various legislators to have some things addressed. I think it's a damn my concern is, and I have no problem going forward, I'm just sharing what I've learned. This is a state road, and we need to get, and as you said, we need to get the state involved. And at this point, you know what? Let's invite them all, because this is not going away. I hear so many stories on 114. My neighbors, the owner of Healthy Pet, he died a year ago on 114 coming out of Canes. This is a major issue. Thank you for bringing it up, but I don't want to belittle it. Quite frankly, I'd like to kind of blow it open a little bit. So if you could amend your motion, I'd like to invite, as I said, the entire delegation, and we need to have some communication, start some talks about what the state is going to do to help out with this very dangerous road. And a lot of people have a lot of ideas. Some are good, some are bad, I don't know. We obviously have to lean on some traffic consultants, but the whole middle road, we've all gone down it. It seemed to be good years ago. Now there's so much traffic. You're taking your life into your own hands when you go down that middle row. So I just thank you for allowing me the time to speak. And I certainly will set it up. And as I said, if you would amend your motion, if you're agreeable to, I'd like to invite the other elected officials I stated. And, at that point, quite frankly, let's invite Captain Richards or let's invite the chief. I mean, this is people are dying on this road. So, we need the people, we need eyeballs, and we need the right eyeballs. Thank you.
Yeah, Councilor Sassel, I have no problem amending my motion. I would like to, get as many people involved as necessary. But the one thing I do know, the old pun, too many hands in the soup, I don't want it to, I know this particular area that I was talking about, and again, my heart does go out to the family, and I'm not sure if that was in Danvers, actually in Danvers or not. So just to, hey, I was in a major car accident on 114 in that area, so I get it. But I want to be able to not have it so broad in the beginning. I know Tom Walsh has information regarding that area between Wilson Square and the Container Store, basically. So I was, we can certainly invite as many people that can have an input into it, but I know that there's information he has on that. So I can certainly amend it and open it up to Senator Joan Lovely and Sally Kearns to come also. I'm assuming Captain Richards would have been invited because he's going to have some information, but I do know Tom got some information from the state, even though it is a state road, what they're going to allow the city to do. But of course, it comes about money. Okay. Thank you, but if you could set that up, even if it's on an off night. Thank you. That is a motion, so.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Charest?
Thank you. Just to remind folks that in the week to come, the schools will be back in session. So if people can just be a little bit more courteous, pay attention to kids and families who might be walking across the street to go down to the schools, where they park, where they drive, certainly around school zones. They can just be cautious of things like that. It's always, unfortunately, it seems to be a tragedy when school goes back into session if something happens. So if people can just keep that in mind, that school's going to be back in session, if we can be more courteous. And lastly is to, our prayers go out to U.S. soldiers who were killed today. If we can all keep those in our minds. I know Councilor Melville is certainly thinking about it as a veteran himself. It's a hard thing to take, but so God bless those soldiers and those families, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Charest. Councilor McGinn?
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive items 7A, C, D, E, and G, and refer to finance. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7H and refer to finance. So moved. And Mr. President, on the motion, this is one that we don't have a lot of experience with. My reading of Mass General Law on this is that we can deal with this in finance and then in the council. Is that consistent with your understanding?
Yes, that's my understanding also.
Thank you, Mr. President.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. In suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8A. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8D. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8M and refer to Legal Affairs and Community Development. I'm sorry. Yeah, Legal Affairs and Community Development for a recommendation. So moved. And on the motion, through you, Mr. President, to Councilor Melville, is that consistent with your understanding?
That was my plan. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8N and set up a public hearing. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive and adopt as advertised item 10A. So moved, Mr. President. On the motion, I'd like to request a roll call vote.
On the motion, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Charist.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 10C and adopt as advertised. So moved. And again, on the motion, I'd like to request a roll call vote.
Motion, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Charist.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Mitsoulas. Turco.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Melville. O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. No further motions.
Thank you, Councilman McGinn. I appreciate you handling the bulk of that material. Councilman Matsoulis?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I'm going to repeat a couple of frustrating remarks that people had. You know, we made an emergency preamble a couple times on this board. It had to do with sidewalks, signage, potholes, and as Councilor Sasslaw said, nothing has been done, and I've been waiting. And I'm not here to put blame on anybody. I know that we're short-handed. Public Works, Public Services is short-handed. There's work going on throughout the city. If you go down Central Street, you can't even move certain hours of the day. But out of frustration, I'll tell you what happened this evening. I got a call just before I came here, and I'll tell you, the address was 61 North Central Street, and the lady complained about a pothole. And she said to me, my street never gets done. And I said to her, look, where do you live? She told me the address. I'll be there tomorrow morning. What time do you get up? I mean, this has been my life lately, you know? I mean, it's my job to go see my constituents. Last night I was on Highland Street, and one of the requests was to put a police officer because of the speeding on that street. And I told her, I said, I'm going to go and see the chief and ask him to put a police officer in front of your house for 2 hours so that you could see we're working on this. There are some issues that you can just not resolve. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm mentioning this. And that's why I'm mentioning this in public, so the public will know what we are going through as councilors. I told her that was going to be my request, and to place slow children at play signs on the street. So, Mr. Chairman, that is what my motion, okay, I'm going to see the chief tomorrow anyways, but to place slow children playing signs on Highland Street. That's half Salem, half Peabody. And as I mentioned, on 61 North Central Street, I'm going to go see the mayor, and she
Pardon, Councilman Matsoulis, should we take that motion and get a vote on that first, on the
Sure,
Highland?
please,
Just to
please,
quick order.
please.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilman Matsoulis.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm also going to make a motion to have Public Works fill the potholes in Ward 3. They're all over the place. You know, I could tell you they're on Fulton Street, Tracy Street, Sprague Street, my own street, North Central Street. And one special request I'm going to make, because this lady called me this evening, please do 61 North Central Street. Fill the hole. The hole is big enough to take a tire. So that's my request. I didn't mean to sound frustrated, but I am. And that's all part of...
Excuse me, Councilman Matsoulis, are you making a motion regarding filling the potholes at 61
Potholes.
North Central Street, as well as addressing as many potholes as it can get?
Please.
Okay, on the
Please.
motion,
Yep.
all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilman Matsoulis.
No, I guess, Mr. Chairman, I've got other motions, but I could handle them myself. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman Matsoulis. Councilor Turco?
Thank you, Mr. President. I first want to address something that I was going to mention. Council Sasslaw and Council Matsoulis kind of stole my thunder. As chair of the Public Services Subcommittee, I have attempted to set up a hearing on, I think, 3 different occasions. Most recently last week. the clerk was nice enough to send an email to the DPW director and ask about his availability for this meeting. He said he didn't have availability for tonight. She then sent him a second email and asked what his availability was so that we may be able to schedule a meeting on an off night. And his response was, I don't want to ad lib, I'll actually read it to you. I cannot commit to being available until the mayor has asked me to attend a meeting. So ultimately, I have tried to have a meeting. I did speak to the mayor. The mayor said it looks like I'm going to make a motion tonight to have Mr. Labossiere here on the 11th. Excuse the 11th. When is the next meeting? I'm sorry, the 9th, September 9th. So the motion will be to have Mr. Labossiere for Public Services Subcommittee on the 9th, and please also send that request to the mayor's office. I share your concern. Councilors, I have had probably upwards of 30 to 40 emails go completely unanswered. Requests from residents unanswered. I also do the same thing, Councilor Sasslaw. I now CC the resident on there as to let them know that we are trying to get some of these things done, but yet they still go unresponded to. Particularly, and I'll make motions on these tonight, Councilor Welton and I have made a motion no less than 3 times about a crosswalk at Linfield Street and Joyce Road. Still not painted. School starts Monday. Very dangerous crosswalk going across Linfield Street. A lot of kids that live in that neighborhood. That request came from residents that didn't care about the color of the crosswalk or whether it was bright or not, but had concerns about the kids in the neighborhood crossing the street. As everybody here knows, there's not sidewalks that go full length of Linfield Street on both sides. You have to cross at one point to get to a different sidewalk. It should have been addressed. Another resident called Felton Street, a crosswalk, unpainted, faded, asked that it be painted for safety reasons, not because, you know, she was looking to bother us. One that really bothers me, 26 Bay State Boulevard. We paved the street last year. Prior to paving, the resident let the DPW director know that there was a severe pooling issue in front of her home, and that at times of rain she could not enter the front door of her home because the road was pitched the wrong way. It got worse after the paving, and several motions, several requests. That resident still, every time it rains, basically has to take her shoes off and walk to her front door, which I find just terrible on a newly paved street. Maple Terrace and Johnson Street. Council McGinn has been on these emails, 3, 4 emails. This is Mrs. Kirakopoulos, who we all know, very well respected, longtime PBD resident, doesn't call for anything. They paved Maple Terrace this year, paved Maple Terrace, pitched the street the wrong way. The water does not leave the street. It doesn't reach the storm drains. Sent the request as stagnant, dirty, old water sitting outside this woman's house. If you go by there now, even in this heat, you'll find the same puddle. Not addressed, not even responded to. Linda Kirakopoulos, I don't understand it. So yeah, I share the frustration. I could go on. My plan tonight was to print out all 30 to 40 emails. Actually, you know what, I will go on. I'll go on to the flooding of last week. Text messages, because I was getting texts from residents of Quail Road, people that we met here, Mr. Soteropoulos, Mr. Donovan, Mr. Sacramone, flooded. Text message to the DPW director to let him know that there was a blockage in the pond behind number 5 Quail Road. No response back, nothing to tell the residents. I didn't know what to tell them. Eventually DPW showed up, but again, when they call the city councils, they look for answers. Same issue again down at Granite Road, which has, I think we made the motion 3 years ago to help Billy Delp. Billy was out there again last storm, flooded. 26 Glendale, the Kenches, wetlands behind their house, all because of a blockage in the stream. Made the motion, asked for help from DPW. Guess what? The Kenches yard still flooded last time. Nobody showed up. No response. Those are text messages, telephone calls, emails, nothing. A lot of these residents never reach out to their councilors. they reach out directly to the DPW, as they probably should. They get the number, but they're forced to reach out to us because they're not getting responses. So it needs to be addressed. You know, we can only go so far we're short-staffed. People can get answers. People can get their telephone calls returned, their emails returned. If you can't do it till next year, let them know you can't do it till next year. Give them something, but we need responses to it. So I'm sorry to vent, and I've just never seen it. I've never seen it like this, to be honest with you. So hopefully we have this meeting on the 9th. I mean, I think you could sense all of our frustration here, but I would just ask that, we be respectful to Mr. Labossiere and just ask the questions that need to be asked, and hopefully some of these motions get taken care of. With that, Mr. President, thank you for letting me talk on that. Motion to paint the crosswalks, 2 crosswalks, one on Felton Street and 1 crosswalk at Joyce Road and Linfield Street. And those motions will be co-motions with Councilor Welton and Councilor Charist.
On the motion, all in favor? All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to have the DPW look at the issue in front of 26 Bay State Boulevard, which occurs during heavy rains, which leaves heavy puddling in front of the neighbor's residence.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to request that the DPW address the issue at Maple Terrace and Johnson Street with the contractor who actually did the work a month ago, and have the contractor rectify that situation and send notice back to the council.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8H and follow the clerk's recommendation to revert the Class 2 motor vehicle license at 245 Andover Street back to the city of Peabody.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. So the motion would be to receive and approve 8H because her recommendation was to have it come back.
Yes, Mr. President. Motion to receive and approve the clerk's recommendation.
On the motion?
I think it should be a voice vote where we're taking back a license.
Understood. Okay. On the motion, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Charis.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8K and set up a public hearing.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive and approve item 9A, entertainment license renewals for 2021 Champions Pub, 114 Foster Street, Club Luis de Camos, 10 Collins Street, Green Tea, 126 Newbury Street, Polana Restaurant, 9 Rear Sylvan Street, Sue Chang's, 373 Lowell Street.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to approve item 9B under suspension of the rules. Taxi driver licenses, Shane Karen, license number 3, Rex A. Kent, license number 4.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive and approve item 9C, fortune teller license, Ashley DeCani, 245 Andover Street. My apologies, and set up a public hearing.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of you, Mr. President, you don't have any issues with item 9D to receive and approve under suspension of the rules, block party for 5 to 8 Glen Drive?
All papers being in order, I appreciate you handling that if you could.
All papers being in order for September 19th, 2021, And did we have the correct contact for block parties now? We do? Thank you.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco?
No further motions, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor Rossignol?
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 8B.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol?
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 8C.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol?
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 8E.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol?
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 8F.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol?
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 8G.
On the motion, Councilor Rossignol, can we amend that to motion to receive and then refer to legal, please?
Sorry. Thank you. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol?
No further motions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Rossignol. Councilor Melville?
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7F and send to Legal Affairs Subcommittee. So moved.
On. Apologize. On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed?
7F.
Council Melville.
Allison, with 8L, is that something we approve? Okay. Move to receive and approve item 8L, the City of Peabody election warrant. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Council Melville.
And we have two more. 8I, under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8I and 8J. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Melville.
I just wanted to say I'm glad to see our IT team and the folks here. It seems like they've definitely put in. I know the issues that we had a month and a half ago. They addressed it, and I can say I'm thankful. Hopefully, it doesn't happen again. But I know how hard they work. It's not easy, so I appreciate what you did. The other, for the Council's Legal Affairs Subcommittee, we have quite a bit in our subcommittee. And as you know, I was trying to have a meeting the end of June, and it just didn't work out schedule-wise with either having people before. So I was hoping to do September 7th, which is a Tuesday night. We have a number of items. If anybody has an issue, just let me know. But there is a lot that we have, and Kurt Bellavance, it's getting and we have a couple of residents that have some stuff that's going to be in there. And Allison, we have to do the Code of Ordinance information as well. So there will be a good amount in that meeting. So I just want to give everybody a heads up, and we really just want to get moving on it. Outside of that, I appreciate serving with all of you. It's good to see everybody back. It's a weird time, and we're all doing the best we can, so I appreciate everybody's work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Melville. At this time, I'd like to ask Councilor Sasslaw. He had a motion and wanted to speak. Councilor Sasslaw?
Thank you, Council President. Appreciate that. I'd like to make a motion that the city clerk send out a communication to BTD Investments, LLC at Tom McMillan, Manager, 27 Water Street, Unit 211, Wakefield, Mass., that they're requested to come before the City Council for a special, for a public hearing regarding the change in the management of the baseball softball facility. So move.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Thank you, Councilor Sasslaw. And Councilor Sasslaw, just a reminder, if you can work with Clerk Danforth to set up a municipal safety meeting regarding some of the issues on 114 whenever you find it convenient, okay? Thank you. I have no motions this evening. I do want to just comment that for the September 9th meeting, we're going to try to schedule an executive session meeting. And typically, as you know, we try to go into the mayor's office. We may be trying to find another location that provides more space for us, just given some of the things that we're dealing with. We're looking at that. It would be in this building, but I just wanted to mention that it may be downstairs in the larger conference room. But I just wanted to mention that, and certainly we're going to try to get that figured out before that next meeting. Yes, Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just wondering if it's ever done, maybe somebody else knows, could we just have the executive session in the hall, but not open the hall until, no? Okay, I just didn't know if these doors could be closed and we could have the executive session, well, just a suggestion. Thank you.
Councilor Turco, I think that's a fair question, but on Thursday evenings, the building is typically open, and then general public can come in. I guess I'd be afraid if we lock doors or prevent it, but we are trying to figure that out. I just wanted to mention it. Certainly there'll be more to come where we can figure out where it works, but at this time, I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
On the motion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. This meeting is now adjourned.